Admit, verb, verb forms. Admit, admit, admitted, admitted, admitting. Accept truth. 1. Intransitive, transitive. Admit to somebody that. To agree, often unwillingly, that something is true. Synonym, confess. It was a stupid thing to do, I admit. Press speech. I am very nervous, she admitted reluctantly. Admit to something. Don't be afraid to admit to your mistakes. Admit to doing something. She admits to being strict with her children. Admit something. He admitted all his mistakes. She stubbornly refuses to admit the truth. Why don't you just admit defeat, recognize that you cannot do something, and let someone else try? Admit it. You were terrified. Admit that. They really admit that they still have a lot to learn. You must admit that it all sounds very strange. Admit to somebody that. I couldn't admit to my parents that I was finding the course difficult. Be admitted that. It was generally admitted that the government had acted too quickly. Be admitted to be, have, etc. something. The appointment is now generally admitted to have been a mistake. Accept blame. 2. Intransitive, transitive. To say that you have done something wrong or illegal. Synonym, confess. Admit to something. He refused to admit to the other charges. Admit to doing something. She admitted to having stolen the car. Admit something. She admitted theft. He refused to admit his guilt. Admit doing something. She admitted having driven the car without insurance. Allowed to enter, join. 3. Transitive, former. To allow somebody, something, to enter a place. Admit somebody, something. Each ticket admits one adult. Admit somebody, something, to, into, something. You will not be admitted to the theater after the performance has started. The narrow windows admit little light into the room. 4. Transitive, formal. To allow somebody to become a member of a club, a school, or an organization. Admit somebody. The society admits all U.S. citizens over 21. Admit somebody, to, into, something. Women were only admitted into the club last year. See related entries. Teaching and learning. Access to education. To hospital. 5. Transitive, often passive. Admit somebody to, into the hospital, an institution, etc. Formal. To take somebody to a hospital or other institution where they can receive special care. 2 crash victims were admitted to the local hospital. See related to entries, hospitals, medical equipment. Extra examples. You will not be admitted to the theater after the performance has started. He admitted to feeling a bit tired. He freely admitted that he had taken bribes. He had caused her more pain than she cared to admit. He was honest enough to admit his mistake in the end. I hate to admit it, but I think he is right. I must admit that the results were disappointing. I was scared, and I don't mind admitting it. In the end, he'd done a good job, Carol admitted grudgingly. She dared not admit her fear. She would be the first to admit that she's very difficult to work with. Some admit privately that unemployment could continue to rise. I'm very nervous, she admitted reluctantly. Don't be afraid to admit to your mistakes. I couldn't admit to my parents that I was finding the course difficult. It was generally admitted that the government had acted too quickly. She refused to admit to the other charges. The appointment is now generally admitted to have been a mistake. The hospital has admitted liability for the accident. Why don't you just admit defeat? You must admit that it all sounds very strange.